Welcome back. In your morning medical news, if you're using acne treatments from Proactiv or La Roche-Posay, you might need to check your medicine cabinet. The FDA now saying 6 popular products are being recalled after testing found elevated levels of benzene, a chemical linked to cancer. Affected brands include Proactiv, La Roche-Posay, and Walgreens store brand. While benzene exposure can increase your risk of cancer, the FDA says the danger from these products is very low. Manufacturers are now voluntarily pulling the items from store shelves. The FDA is issuing its new flu vaccine recommendations. The agency says vaccines for the upcoming respiratory virus season should be trivalent. That means protecting against 2 strains of influenza A and 1 of influenza B. The agency's decision comes from a group of some of their own experts, some of the CDC, and some from the Defense Department. This week marked 5 years since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. While health officials say most people now appear to have fully recovered from a COVID infection, some do go on to develop symptoms long after the initial infection. Mandy Gaither has more on what we've learned about long COVID over the years.
It's characterized by symptoms that typically develop within 3 months after a COVID-19 infection and may last years. The World Health Organization says the chance of developing long COVID appears to be lower now than at the pandemic's peak, but with the virus still spreading, there's still risk.
Some people are still struggling with it today. About 30% of adults who had COVID have these persistent symptoms. That's what the data shows.
Common symptoms of long COVID include fatigue, breathlessness, muscle or joint pain, and sleep issues.
It does seem to be most correlated with how severe your infection was initially and your overall risk factors at the time of infection. So, for example, your age or your immune function.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says for many people, long COVID can worsen conditions like lung disease, and up to 40% of those with long COVID appear to have persistent breathing problems, likely due to scarring or thickening of lung tissue from the initial COVID-19 infection.
Many people do seem to eventually recover, or at least improve. And while it may sound simple, doing directed breathing exercises, that can go a long way. And of course, doing everything you can to prevent another infection.
Gupta says staying up to date on both COVID and flu vaccinations can help protect against future infections. He says it's especially important for those over the age of 65 and people who are immunocompromised. A vacant hospital in Chippewa Falls could soon reopen to serve patients again. The Chippewa Valley Health Cooperative signing a purchase agreement for the former St. Joseph's Hospital. The group now has 90 days to determine if reopening is financially viable. If approved, the facility could welcome patients as early as this winter. St. Joseph's Hospital closed its doors last March, leaving a gap in local health care.